we really thank Rolling Out for having us. And so I'm going to turn it over to D'Essence Smiley. And D'Essence, you're already well versed on All Involved. And you guys take it away.
So I just want to say hello for everybody. I'm D'Essence Smiley for Rolling Out. And I just wanted to thank you all for having the time and taking the time to meet up with us and talk about this. And it's such a pleasure, like Darren said, that we get to talk to you guys.
Yes.
Since this is y'all's first time being together talking about the film. So,
thanks for having us.
Yes, thank you for being here. So, of course, we all know we're here because the First Lady of BMF, The Tonesa Welch Story, is nominated for Outstanding Television Movie, Limited Series, or Dramatic Special. So for everybody watching, please be sure to vote and mention your votes, and also to cast your ballot, at vote.naacpimageawards.net, and that voting does close this Saturday. So I want to start off, and I just want to ask Michelle and Tobias, your film was released during the strike. This is actually your first opportunity to talk about the film. What was it like not being able to talk about your now Image Awards nominated television movie?
Go ahead, Michelle.
I didn't know who was going first. Well, for me, I just talked about Tonesa, so I was able to, still just shine her light. And so whatever anyone wanted to do with after seeing that was, of course, up to them. So I was able to do that. I'll just say that. But I was mostly disappointed in not being able to go to the premiere in Detroit. I really wanted to be there with Tonesa and her family. So for me, that was the most disappointing, especially also when you see work on a film screen and you hear the sound in the theater is very different from obviously just being at home. And so just not being able to see that in the D with the cast and with Tonesa and her family was super disappointing and hard. I was trying to find a way to go and like be in the back in like a hoodie, but I think people got wind because they're like, yeah, your talent knows not to go to Detroit, right? So I had to kind of just sit on my hands and just trust that everything will work out the way it's intended to, and then look where we are now. So I guess we still win in the end, so it's cool.
And what about you, Tobias?
Oh man, it's very frustrating. Being able to work in this industry, that's a mountain to climb in itself. And then when you're able to have a gig and to have a gig that's able to be out there in the public where people can see it, and then not be able to, scream to the world, hey, check out this work that we, put our hearts into. It's frustrating. It's frustrating. I stand with the union, but it's frustrating. The word of mouth and family and friends and things of that nature, letting people know that I love and that's close to me what's happening and stuff, but not really being able to be out in the public. It didn't feel that great. You want to be able to express yourself and talk about the picture and the film and just your experience. And I guess everything. Somebody said something to me recently about every project has its own time to maturate. It matures at its own time, and I kind of look at this as that. This is that time, I guess. Now we could speak about it. So you just have to have perspective on stuff, and there's nothing I could do about it. There's nothing I could change about that situation. So I had to ride it.
Yeah. So I'm sure it was hard for both of you guys not being able to post, but for you two, what was it like when you guys watched it on BET Plus? What was that like for you guys?
I mean, it was cool, but again, I was disappointed because I wanted to be at the premiere in Detroit. I'm gonna be honest. I mean, of course, it was great to see how everything came together, I guess in the comfort of my home, but similar to what Tobias was saying, it was hard to kind of just process and work through the fact that we couldn't promoted in the way that we have
Did
all our
you,
other
did you
projects.
like the movie? Did you like the movie? I think that's what she's asking.
Oh yeah, of course,
All right.
absolutely.
Y'all done said
I did,
everything.
of course.
Y'all done talked about everything but the movie.
Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, she was asking like, what did I first think? And of course, I was excited to see it. However, at the same time, what I was dealing with was feelings of like, I really wanted to go to the premiere that they had 2-3 days ago in Detroit. So I had both of those feelings happening for me simultaneously. But overall, of course, I enjoyed the art that was made. And I'm just so grateful that BET and Megamind felt and supported Tonesa's story. And they supported what she was trying to say, and that they were such a pillar for her and her having this opportunity. Like that's what I'm most happy about. Of course, like, we could say like, oh, we did a great job, but even more than that, I'm just happy that Tonesa's story is being told in like a really truthful way. And I just felt like I saw the truth. I saw the truth of her story, and I'm so grateful for that. I just also wanted to be at the premiere. That's all.
Seems like we gotta have a screening of our own, Tonesa and Joe.
Yeah, we
Think
need
so.
to, right? We need to have a reunion.
A post-strike.
A post-strike.
Post-strike.
Watch it on the screen.
screening
It does
in
make a
Detroit.
difference.
Yeah, in Detroit with the people, with the family.
Yes,
know?
the hometown.
Yeah.
Yes, we need to put that together after the win.
Yes.
Yes,
In celebration of.
the celebration of the win. I feel like we
Yeah,
already.
exactly.
I feel like we already won. I do.
Yeah.
It's a win for me. Yes.
Okay, so for Ms. Tonesa and Judge, despite being released during the strike, there was a lot of interest in national media coverage about the movie. Talk to us about that experience.
For me, it was amazing, that I got to talk to all the media outlets and them to be able to be interested in my story and to see the way I lived it, and to inspire. I wanted everybody to see the truth. I'm after coming home from prison, living that life, I wanted to build little legacies, and I wanted everybody to see the truth and not the entertaining part of it. That was my real life story. I went through it. And I just, by all the media attention that was around it, it was amazing to me. It showed a lot of people were interested in my story.
Mhm.
And I would love to jump in and add to that. I think one beautiful thing about it too is that it really kept so much energy on like Tonesa too and her story. It kind of took away from like, since the actors couldn't promote, like oftentimes in biopics, it's just about the actors and kind of, what they're doing and what their process was. But in this unique situation, she got to really be out there and speak more to the public. And I think that was like really dope and honorable in my opinion.
Yeah. Thank you.
What I found very fulfilling is the fact that there's such a large following of the BMF organization and among hip hop, among kids, etc., that we were able to influence that community. They don't listen to too many people. When you tell them, either of us, on the except with the exception of Tony, when we try and direct them in a place where we think they should go, there's fight back. But because we can't identify, or most of us, I can, but we can't identify with their journey. We can't identify with the kids who admire BMF, so we can't influence them. On the other hand, Tony is able to. Tony is able to influence the young girls who think it's glamorous just to be the woman or participate in a drug organization. The young men, they think it's glamorous. They think that's all it is. But when they see the movie, they recognize there's some consequences. That was the whole concept behind this. Was an inspirational, was a cautionary story with an inspirational ending. And that's why I was so adamant about having this movie made. So that was my objective, and I think we fulfilled that.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it opened so many doors. When I think about the other movie and look at mine, people are really interested in that, that comeback. That how did you get through that? How did you, the outcome, how did you make it through it? I've been, since this movie, I've been so many different interviews, schools, and everybody is interested in this inspiring story, this redemption story. And I'm so glad that we were able to tell that, how I felt and how I was walking through it. I worked hard to change who I was, my my background, who I was, everything. I really worked hard on my reputation to become a different person. I wanted my family to see the outcome of all the hard work I had been doing. I wanted the world to see it, not just look at something so entertaining, that the kids we already taking our young people, and that wasn't the way I wanted people to see my life going, to highlight that.
Yeah.
And I can't see any young person who wouldn't want to be honored by their hometown, by the mayor, by the city council. And those are the things we show that could be done, aspirational things, that if you change your life and return to your community and rebuild what you've participated in destroying, you will be honored for that redemption and for the work that you've done in our community and for the leadership you've provided for those who are returning citizens. And so I'm very proud of Tonesa stepping up, telling her story, and influencing the millions of young ladies and men who watch this First Lady of BMF.
Thank you, Judge.
So this is for everyone. How did you all learn that the film was nominated for the NAACP Image Awards, and what was your honest reaction?
I'll go first. Darren called me about 7 a.m. I was in LA. He called me about 7 a.m. And when he said it, I was still sleeping, so I looked at the phone like, why is he calling me this early? And I had one of those moments like, this is Tobias and Michelle's craft. So they always dreamed of being awarded for their work. But for me to receive that, it made me feel like, dang, your hard work has paid off. And immediately after, I started feeling that they would feel, and overwhelming joy and excitement. And I went and I broke down and started crying after I hung up, because that's how, it made me feel like, dang, you did that, you made it. People are recognizing the hard work and where you come from. So that's how I feel, really excited. Thank you, guys. Yeah.
For me, I was notified, I think, by one of my colleagues in my company and in Mathis Productions. And immediately what I felt was redemption myself, quite frankly. Tonesa and I come from the same neighborhood within 3 or 4 miles of each other. And I know her journey, I know her reality, and it's the same as mine to a certain extent. I wasn't a major drug distributor, street gang member. And so in that sense, I felt that the work I'm doing continues with my objective, and that is redemption and service to our community. And so that's what it validated. What we're doing was going in the right direction.
Because you really don't feel, coming from where I come from, it's a hard journey, and people really don't see the change. And I believe receiving this award, even though people do, but in my head, I'm still got to do more and more. But receiving this award makes me say, like, dang, they see you. They see your work. You out here doing that, So that's what that award meant to me. I mean, I feel like I nominated already. I did my speech already, y'all. So in my head, just being nominated, one of the nominees is big enough for me. It's an award already. I'm just coming from Detroit, and Judge know my history, and that already is amazing. Just to be the committee too, say, hey, this is a beautiful story. This girl came through a lot. She showed, the change and the redemption. She's out here inspiring. That meant a lot to just get that award from such a prestigious committee. It just meant so much to me.
Yeah, I can tell by the passion in your voice that definitely meant a lot. And congratulations to you all for that. Um, Although the film is a BET Plus original, it is produced by Megamind Media. Talk to us about Teresa Arzell Smallwood and the team at Megamind. What was your experience with them?
Me? Oh my God, it was amazing. When she first introduced herself to me, she talked to me like she was, I mean, I'm older than her, like she was my mother, somebody that really showed that they cared, somebody that wanted to be the voice for me, so just how the whole walkthrough, because doing a biopic is really nervous, you're really nervous. I'm sorry, oh my God, you don't know how the public is going to receive it. And so just to be out there to tell your story, tell your truth, I felt like raw, naked, but she took very good care of me, like the way she talked to me, her calm voice, and her whole team, like they were already put on like standby, like really take care of her, and everybody took care of me because I had a lot of anxiety. But yeah, it came across. I mean, she did a great job. I love Tressa, and I thank her for that. Thank her and her team for taking care of me. I'm sorry, y'all. Nobody called me. No, you're doing this. I'm gonna back up a little bit. I can't take up my camera. But
Absolutely. So for Michelle and Tobias, what about First Lady of BMF compelled you to want to take on this role?
Well, I just love the opportunity to be able to work at times. I worked with Megamind before. This project came up, and as an actor, you don't always just get the job. You don't always just, all right, this is for you. And this was one of those moments. The story itself was, at first I was like, whoa, hold up, what's going on? But being that it was a true story, someone's life, that was like a lot of interest to me. Now, I had a responsibility of portraying someone's real life. I hope I did a good job. Just hearing Tonesa and, her excitement and just, her redemption and everything, this as an actor and as a filmmaker and just my person, it just, that's what makes it feel really, really, really good. Just community, being a part of Megamind, being a part of, getting a chance to work with Leon and Michelle. Me and Michelle worked on another series. We didn't really share any scenes together, but just being able to, share scenes together. And anytime you're a lead, be a lead in the film, like, that's what we're striving for. And just the entire team being able to work with Vivica Fox, these are the things that, perk your interest. Like, oh, okay, wow, these are my heroes. These are the people that I've been watching for a long time. Oh, I'm the lead in the film. Okay, great. I've worked with this production before. So, these are the things that, spark your interest.
I would say for me, I just want to go back to Megamind. I just love how they took care. First of all, I just want to, before I answer about joining onto the project, Megamind just does a really great job of taking care of their people, and their hospitality, I just feel, is unmatched. And, for me, I had a baby. My baby was 2 months old when we started shooting this. I was not sleeping. I was nursing. I was in the thick of it while we were filming this. And I just really appreciate, and I don't know if they're watching or if they'll see this, I just deeply appreciate anyone who looks out for you and your family, your kids. Like, it's just, it does something different for you and for your life. So I deeply appreciate Megamind, the hair department head Keisha, the makeup department head Letitia, wardrobe, like they really, 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 really looked out. And so I really appreciate Megamind Media and what they're doing. And I just deeply respect them. I just had to say that once. So now on to your
family.
Yeah, I mean, it's
family,
just
like we old family, old school.
Yeah,
family. Grandma
exactly.
takes care of you. Yeah, that's the feeling I got. Like,
absolutely. And then with joining on to the project, I definitely was at first just like hesitant because I had just had my child. And so I was like, I don't feel like fully in my body, and I'm kind of just in between this, but as I started just researching Tonesa more, I just felt like I felt a kindred spirit. I don't know, I just felt like I know this woman, and granted, I may not have walked her same path, but I saw a lot of myself in her, and I saw a lot of similarities that just seemed very like uncanny, and I just felt like it was alignment, in my opinion. And at first it was like, hey, we're interested, but maybe not, but we are, but we're not. And so I kind of was like, okay, hands off it, it's fine. And then when it ended up going my way again, that's just alignment, that this is like, I am meant to be a vessel for this woman's story. And so I just felt a deep like responsibility, of course, in doing that. But more than anything, I was just truly invested in her story. And and the journey is like still continuing. I feel like I'm still invested in like what continues to happen in Tonesa's life, even just from afar. And I was excited to, again, just be a vessel. And I was just praying that I could do her justice and really take care of this moment, because I knew that it wasn't going to be easy. And I knew, like she mentioned about being raw and open to the public, like it's weird because I feel like in a biopic, and I was just watching the actor who's playing Bob Marley, I was watching a lot of his interviews lately, and I relate to a lot of what he's saying, because you get like this spiritual download of the person in a weird way, and you kind of like take on, it's hard to explain, but you just feel this way to just defend them in a really, really hard way. So I'm like, no, Tonesa is like this, and it's like that, and it's like that. But I just felt so connected to her and her story and her journey. And I was like, you know what, I can do this. And they trust that I can do this. And once they told me she was okay with me doing it, then I was like, all right, now just trust yourself and go. So that was the initial journey for me, and wanting to have the honor of playing Tonesa Welch.
Yeah. So for Michelle and Tobias, you kind of talked about this a little bit, but I want you guys to talk about like you guys playing actual living people's roles. Michelle, you had Tonesa on set with you. What kind of pressure is added having her there with you on set?
Well, Tonesa is a quiet fire, so you know she don't, to me at least, or maybe I don't know if it's only with me, I don't know, but I just feel like she does, her energy doesn't give pressure. It gives, you know, I'm paying attention, you know, but I ain't pressing you, but I'm paying attention and I'm looking, you know. And so I didn't feel pressure, I just felt responsibility. Like I have this woman's life in my body, hand, spirit, everything. You know what I mean? And I'm not taking this for granted. I'm not taking it lightly. So whether she was there or not, for me was a non-factor, because every day I felt the responsibility. I probably put more pressure on me, if you want to talk about pressure, than I think she probably ever would, or at least made me feel. And it was just my own willingness to just really do a service to her life. You know, and not only her life, I mean, she got sons, she has grandchildren now, you know, family, mother, father. I got to interact with, you know, actors who were playing her mom and her. I'm telling all these relationships. So it definitely was, she didn't put any pressure on me. I think I was just putting the pressure on myself, and it's probably on others as well. Like, we gotta get this right. We have to get this right, and by any means necessary. And thankfully we did.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You think about the process, think about the the script, production, you know, it's all of a process, and the whole creative process is a lot of trust. And I remember doing one of the scenes, and you know, after we finished a take, you know, Tonesa coming out saying, man, you know, I feel like I'm right back, you know, in that environment. And that was just that was just, you know, inclination to myself that like, okay, I'm in the right space, I'm hitting the right notes. Harvey, you know, Harvey and I don't resemble each other, but it was just about the presence. And I love what Michelle just said about the responsibility of it, you know, more than the pressure, the responsibility. And I think as actors, we are striving for excellence. We're striving to do a good job. We're not, you know, want to put out anything mediocre or, not authentic or anything. So, you know, that's our goal, is to you know, to bring some authenticity to it. We are playing real people, but then, you know, it's we're embodying it. And when I look at Michelle and Tonesa, and you know, you see them stand next to each other, you're like, oh wow, okay, I see, I can see, you know, why Michelle's in this role, and then being in the scenes with her, I'm like, okay. And I just wanted to bring my passion and fire to it, and just be honest to what's on the page, because this is, you know, this is what the writers wrote. So I'm sure we're very dynamic people, you know, we're not just one thing or two things. So, you know, what's on the page is what we got a chance to experience. You know, so that's my job.
And also too, I like what you said, Tobias. I'm about to call you H. Tobias. About you know, we're not here to like mimic these people. We're here to embody their spirit and their energy and who they were at that time. And some things I use for my work. Like I said, I wasn't really sleeping because I had a newborn, but Tonesa has spoke about when you're in that lifestyle, you don't really sleep. You don't really rest well anyway. So I'm going to use that. I'm going to just bring that to the work. You know, when you're in prison, you don't rest well. You don't rest well here. So I can use like my experiences and what's happening for me, like literally right now as I'm filming this, and like bring this to the set. If I am feeling uneasy about what's happening, well, it just so happens we're in a scene where she's feeling uneasy with H. If I'm feeling like, whoa, Tobias is really, he's making me he's really, well, that's how she was actually feeling. So that's the really unique thing too with like biopics, is like a lot of times people think, well, you just want to mimic them and do exactly their nuances and their idiosyncrasies, and you can do that, of course, but I think also just embodying like their spirit and their in the circumstance and the stakes is a huge responsibility. But so fun at the end of the day, you know, like what an honor, like to say like I did a biopic in my lifetime, you know. I'm just, I count it all joy. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's amazing that you were able to make that correlation, that connection between your real life versus, you know, somebody who you were acting for. Like, that's amazing that you were able to make that connection.
Thank you.
So for Ms. Tonesa and Judge, biopics are hard because it's a person's real life. Tonesa, could you talk about why it was important to tell your story in your own words?
Because, you know, living that lifestyle, it's you know, it's not a positive lifestyle, you know, and it has its negative conductivities to it, and you don't want to keep continuing that story. I can never get rid of my past. It's going to always be there, but it was just important to tell, like, okay, like, we can overcome that lifestyle. We can become productive citizens. We can get second chances. And it was just very important because when I wanted my family, and I wanted my family to see it, but I wanted to be as truthful as I can tell it. I didn't want it to be entertaining. I wanted people to see what I really went through, and how the steps, how hard it is to change your life. And once you start changing your life, walking your journey and doing all those different things, I wanted people to see, yeah, you can change, but look what happened to you in those lifestyles. You know, it might look glamorous, like might look fun, but it's not an easy lifestyle, especially for a woman. So I wanted my sons to say, you know, and it's almost like an apology to them too, also, you know, showing them that, okay, this is who I was. I want you to see who I am. And I wanted to be able to tell my truth to them. I don't want them seeing it anywhere else, you know, in a negative light and an entertaining life, because I didn't think my life was entertaining. You know, once I went to prison and had to go through it, you look back at it and you have all these regrets and all these things that you have to live through. I wanted them to see it was almost my apology to them and to the world. Look, this is where I came. You don't want to be here. This is my apology, but watch my steps. Look at where I'm going. And that was important to me when they talked about doing the show. When Judge and Tressa and Vivica Fox talked to me, I said, I wanted to be as authentic as I can remember it. You know, I want it to be, I want to show the truth. I want people to see what I went through and who I am today. And I want people to see that, not short and in a glamorous, entertaining, you know, way. Because when you start showing people it's glamorous and fun, they think it's glamorous and fun. I made it out. A lot of people don't make it out. I was truly blessed through God. This woman still in prison for the life that I lived. So I was blessed to get the time, and it was my journey to change who I was. I had been a young girl in this life for so long. And when I look back at it, I be thinking, I don't want no other person to go through that. I don't want another woman to have to see me to think, oh, she did this and she did this, and look how the outcome. Because people do like, you don't look like what you came through. What you came through, but I said, but look inside my soul. I want you to see that it was a lot of hurt and pain going through that, and everything that I gained, I thought that I was gaining. I was showing people back in that lifestyle. It wasn't a good lifestyle, and I don't want another woman to have to go through that. So it's very important for people to see the real, the way I lived it, the hurt and the pain, the shame and the regret.
Yes, well, we
Wow.
definitely appreciate you sharing that, just sharing your story with us. And Judge, what drew you to this story, and what about Tonesa made her story a compelling biopic?
You know, some years ago, I developed a television show that's in its fourth season, Trap Queens, American Gangster with BET. And so we've looked to film the most successful stories that we've had. And Tonesa's is the most successful. But I determined that she would be a great person to cover, whose life we should portray, because I knew much of that story. I knew her and her family for years. And also the fact that, as I said, I think they had more influence. Let me just give you an example. Tonesa's ex, Terry, when he came from prison, I wanted to have him to help the community. I'm all about, once you help destroy the community, you have to help rebuild the community. And that is what my life has been about all my adult life. And that's what I'm about. And that's why we selected Tonesa. But to give you an example of the influence, particularly on young men, that the BMF organization had, I had a young cousin, a young cousin who was to drive me to Chicago. This was during COVID, and to meet with Jesse Jackson. And I thought I was boasting to him and thought I was really impressing him. I said, "You're going to drive me to Chicago to see Jesse Jackson tomorrow?" He kind of bowed his head like, okay. And then as I was leaving the house, we were there in Detroit. I had to leave the house. I said, "I'm going over Southwest T." I said, "Meet with this cat, Southwest T, who came from prison. I'm trying to convince him to help young people." He lit up like a Christmas tree and went on and on and on about how they're the biggest people in hip hop and the biggest this and the biggest that. And so I knew that would be the case, but I didn't know it would be such a big reaction. And when I got there and met with Terry, I asked if he would post a caption and a picture of he and I urging young people to get out to vote. And we did that. And within 24 hours, he got 362,000 likes for our picture asking young people to get out and vote. So that's the influence they have. When I post my picture, I might have gotten 20,000 if I post one alone by myself. But that's the power of these stories, these street stories, which is something that I have focused on in my programming objectives. And it's because of that reason they have the following that we need to lead.
Yeah. So for you guys both, Ms. Tonesa and Judge, the audience is familiar with the BMF story, right? Both from the news headlines and a scripted series that's on the other network. What do people learn when they watch your true story?
Yes, you go to prison for many years and you don't see that on the series. You don't see the experience, the detrimental experience to your family. You don't see that. what happened when you went to prison. You don't see how your life has been turned upside down forever. And so that's what they're missing. And that's what we're proud to bring to the air to kind of offset some of the glory and glamour that is projected onto the screen regarding the dope game, which in fact destroys our community as they glamorize and glorify their trade.
Mhm. Yeah, and I didn't want to be highlighted in the way that they're showing me. You know, I don't want young girls to think that, oh, this is how it is, and you know, me chasing a young boy or me doing, you know, the way that they show my character. I mean, I think I'm a strong, independent woman and always have been, even though I chose the wrong road. But I don't like to be highlighted in that type of way. I do have a family, and like I said, I have been working to change who I was and who my family see who I am. And I don't, the way we did it in my movie, that's the way I want people to see it. The redemption part, the walk of my life. I don't want to show them the glamorous part, because I think my children were involved in it. Some of my family went to prison. And I know for a fact that what you show a young person, how if you make it seem easy and fun, that's the pattern that they want. They think they want to follow that. I don't want another family to have to go down that path. Like I said, when I fell in that hole, I took 5 of my family members in that hole with me. And they were young boys, they were young men that did probably in a total of 30 years. So when they see me some people see me on the show like that, I don't want them to think that it was that easy for me, or it will be easy for another woman. It was all fun and games. It's entertaining, because I really hurt behind those stories that they're telling.
And what you should know that even her sons that weren't in the dope game suffered consequences. Her youngest son, who's never been in the dope game, went to school with my kids at the best private school here in Los Angeles, etc. Well, when Tony was incarcerated, he was left on his own because the others had went to prison, and he was about to start college. So we, my family, decided that we would make sure that he was going to be all right. And thank God we have people who are able to do that when you fall. But there are not many who are going to be there when you fall. But some will, and those are the folks that you should trust in. And I think that's why perhaps Tonesa trusted me with her story.
That was the main reason, because like the judge, I knew that once he took my story in his hands, I felt a comfort. I knew that they were going to take care of me and my story, because that's true. When you get indicted and everybody, they turn their backs on you. I always say it was like I was in a fire, or the DTE or the gas company came and took the lights off, or, you know, they came and evicted me or something. Everybody left when the glamour left. And like I said, it was 5 of my son and 5 other members that went to prison. And then I left 2 young men at home. And if it wasn't for the judge, you know, and his family, because my sons didn't want to go back to Detroit with the family. They wanted to stay close to me because I was incarcerated in the West Coast. If it wasn't for Judge and Linda Mathis taking them in on holidays and times, you know, I don't know what I would do. Once I felt comfort knowing that they had some place to go. And you don't find many people like that. It was like my house always stayed crowded when I had money and who I was on top. But once I fell, I had nobody, no one. Everybody turned their back on me. And for them to say, hey, what you doing this holiday? Oh, we going over to Judge's house. That made me feel so good. It brought me comfort, because of a mother in prison. We don't sleep at night. We don't know what happens to our children. And that's the most, you know, heartbreaking feeling I can ever say that goes on with a woman in prison. All you hear at night is women crying, you know. thinking about their children. I don't want another woman. It's always, that's why I fight so hard for prison reform now, because and women, because we need to be able to see, hey, the responsibility as a mother, you are responsible for your children. It's a selfish lifestyle, and when you were in it, you don't think about what happens to the kids. And now I realize when I sat on my bunk while I walked that yard, nothing, nothing could compare to the regret I felt when I left them behind. And so that's why I push so hard to tell the truth. And look, you can do this. I'm not a hypocrite, but let me tell you what would happen if you decide to do this, especially as being a mother. You're basically on your own.
Yeah, absolutely. So just speaking about that and speaking about the emotions around that, what emotions did you experience while watching the BMF series, knowing that it was something that, for one, you're not a part of, and along with the misleading storyline about you and how you're being portrayed? Tell me about the emotion around that.
So many triggers, so much, like, why would they do that? Why? They know my fight. They know what I went through. Like I said, I was one of the mothers on that case that was taken out of our household. Most kids, they had their mothers, like children. His mother, his children's mother was at home taking care of her children. Demetrius' mother was at home taking care of him. They were all young. They were all young children that had their mothers. With my selfish life, I left the household. My children was left behind. So seeing that and not being able to tell my truth in it is hurtful, because, like, why would you, use my character in that kind of way? The heartache and everything, that I went through. Like, I feel like it was so much that I got hit the hardest, and that even though they did 30 years, I felt like I got hit the hardest. My family got hit the hardest, and I'm still getting hit. And so that's why it was important to highlight my story, and so every time I see that story, I don't know, it makes me sad. I get triggers, and I can't watch it because it's so many blood, sweat, and tears that I suffered, or my family suffered, that it's hard to watch. It's hard to even see, like, the billboards, the commercials, because the way they portrayed my character.
Yeah.
Wow.
For Michelle and Tobias, you had a first-time feature film director, but she's also an acclaimed actor. Talk to us about working with Vivica Fox and how she inspired and motivated you all.
Oh man, Viv is a actor, so she's very vested in the beats and moments of the scene. Being a chance to work with her and watching her, all the time on the big screen and stuff, it was an absolute pleasure. You don't always have directors that are that vested in the intricacy of the the acting part of it all. So it made it comforting, knowing that, she, it's a trust thing. So, it's a trust thing. So it's like, it gave me comfort to know that she was on the opposite end, saying that, okay, what we're doing is all right. What we're doing is, on point. I love her work, and, we wanted to support her in her, directorial debut. So, it's always with me and Michelle, it's always giving our all, and it's a trust. This is a creative process, so it's always a trust thing when it comes to filmmaking and this kind of craft.
All right, speaker was on. I was excited, definitely excited. I think Vivica has said something along the lines, it may not be verbatim, but she has said, to young actors anyway, like, you're never going to be the same young actor or spring chicken. And so you got to know when to pivot, you know what I'm saying? And I think it's just cool to have, like, an up close and personal view of someone who has who has a long career such as her, to see her pivot and see her just dive into something completely new and different. And I think it just says a lot about, as we continue to grow, like how far can you stretch yourself? How much more can you go? And I know for myself, personally, I've been, shadowing and wanting to direct for a long time. So anytime I see a Black woman, behind the lens, I just get super excited and really encouraged and like reminded that, one, that it's possible, right? And then also two, it just means that more doors are going to continue to open for the young Black actresses who also want to direct too. So I just think it's cool to see someone who's been in the game so long continue to just like stretch themselves and get better and do new things. And I hope for her that she looks into doing more, maybe more TV and more, episodic. I hope it continues to grow for her. I haven't talked to her about that specifically, but I hope that this encourages her to do more, and to just continue to grow in that lane if she wants to, of course.
What was your reaction learning that Vivica earned a nomination for Outstanding Director?
I believe she deserved it. So hard.
Happy for her.
Very happy.
Of course.
So for Miss Tonesa and Judge, how did y'all even get Vivica Fox?
Well, I've known Vivica for many years, and I knew that she had been working and producing television movies, both for Hallmark, Lifetime, and I think she may have done an independent small budget movie. But knowing that she was a very determined producer and now director, and knowing her as a person, and as Tobias and Michelle have said, her experience in the industry so long, I felt that she would be and she's got a little swag to her and a little feistiness to her. So I knew she could get it done. I knew she could relate to Tonesa's story. And I knew that Vivica and 50 Cent were both working on the BMF story.
Everybody asked me like this a whole beef. I'm like, no, but it wasn't. It's just so crazy how it worked out like that. That she came on board, and I swear I still didn't think about it until 50 made the announcement, said something about it. I'm like, oh wait, I forgot that they had that ongoing beef. But I just felt like, hey, she's a Leo. I know how determined and how hard I worked. So I'm like, I know she's going to bring it. Like the judge said, she's like top notch, sassy and jazzy. And she, she got all the fire. She was going to bring that Detroit. She was going to bring it. She was going to put, she really did. She did her job. Once that camera came on, it's time to work. She snapped right back into it. So, she did a thing.
Speaking about Detroit, what up though? That's an iconic Detroit.
Right.
I say it all the time. We say it. I mean, it's just our thing. It's like you gotta. What up though? It's our anthem. You got that's the play right there. You gotta say what up though.
So, how important for you, Miss Tonesa and Judge? How important was it for y'all to nail those aesthetics of the Detroit in that time period? Like, tell us something that like gave you old flashbacks of the old D when y'all watched the movie.
I think it was more. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I think it was the flash, whether it was at the clubs or wherever it might be. Detroit is known to have flashy guys in their attire, and the sister is sexy, super sexy. We're known for that. And so the distinction is when you tape a movie about Detroit or in Detroit, it looks like it's kind of pimped out because everybody's got the flash in them. And so that's kind of what I saw and felt was authentic about the movie and the environment and the vibe that it had.
It was the whole Tobias thing also, him and Michelle. They really, I'm like, wow, for them not to be from Detroit, they really brought it. It's like, okay, Tobias, you and Hero must have hung out.
I love Detroit. I love Detroit.
It was just even, and Judge has that cat about him too, even though he a judge. It's something about the walk, that it's something about that swag to me, that Detroit brings it. And that they really brought it. And for Judge, I didn't know about, we need those, those words and that kind of, I'm not behind the camera. I was just in front. And so seeing it, it really brought it back like, okay, this is dope how they did that. I'm so glad that I remember Judge was the one really saying, no, you got to bring all that. You got to bring the what up, though. You got to bring the swag. You got to bring, this is how we walk. This is how we talk. And so Viv said, I gotta get this right. The judge said we gotta say some what up those, and we gotta, they gotta walk like this and talk like this. I said, yeah, you gotta bring it. And so it was the teamwork and him telling them, him adding those pieces to it. I don't understand how they do the whole, like I said, the being inside, I'm just behind the scenes, and they knew, I mean, not behind the scenes, but they knew what to bring to it, to bring it to natural life, bring it to life, to make us seem like, hey, we are back there. And when they were acting, it was seemed like, oh wow, I had the flashbacks. They did an amazing job, like I said, with the, with the wardrobe, the swag, the what up dolls. It was on point. All that was on point. Yeah.
Well, and what was cool with Tonesa's arc is like, we had to show it from kind of pre all of that. She came from more of a, of course, correct me if I'm wrong, Tonesa, but more of a, upper middle class type setting to, going over to the other side. So also having to, through language and diction of tone, like how she evolved in that way too, was like super cool, and things we had to be mindful of, like, okay, well, when she was 19 and she wasn't really got it, was she like this, versus when she was like 21, 22 and she in her stride, she in her vibe. So it was cool being super immersed in that world and like trying to figure out all the different Detroit pockets and the female flair and all of that was so fun. And Vivica's from the Midwest, right? I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
So
Indianapolis.
I'm a Midwest girl too. I'm a Midwest girl too. So
Yeah. Everybody, y'all y'all know y'all want to admit it. Y'all want to be a part of that D, what up, though, that swag. I like everybody.
Yes, that's why
part of the D. Y'all can say
exactly.
As soon as we say we from the D, somebody be talking about my cousin auntie live on the east side in Pontiac. That's not the D, but okay, we got that. We swagged out. So
and that's
for making sure they was on point with that.
Yeah. But hence why I wanted to be at the premiere in Detroit, so I could be in Detroit.
Right.
Me too. I didn't get a chance to go either. I had to go to the one in Los Angeles, so that we financed. So don't feel you're not alone. Yeah. I created it and wasn't able to go. So you're not alone.
But we all gonna be at this award, right?
Yeah.
We're gonna do something. We have to. We have to do something to the city of Detroit, because that was,
for sure.
It's very iconic for just I don't think it's about me. I think it's, just from coming from the D and being, one of the nominees. My movie, I try to Google how many movies from Detroit has been in, Image Awards. I was doing all that. So this year we had the Lions almost won. Don't kill me, Judge. I know they almost won, but I'm gonna win, and I still, we are from the area. Just bringing that, that whole Detroit flair. That, and the whole excitement. The year is beginning to be a great year.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And I got a chance to watch the BMF series myself, and then turn around and watch the First Lady of BMF. And I can personally say, on behalf of, I'm sure, a lot of viewers, that it was a huge eye opener, just seeing like the difference in the stories, like to see your lens, like to see the story from your lens, to see all the details, like Judge said, you actually went to prison in yours, like you just see all that rawness from your story. And I just want to say to you all, like, that was a beautiful film. Congratulations to everybody. Yeah, y'all did that.